Before every race, I like to pull up my field notes from the previous year. It's one of the quickest ways to get my head right about what I'm about to run into, literally. This week's Houston Trifecta is in Cat Spring, Texas, about 100 miles west of Houston, at 7IL Ranch. Once you start traveling for races, you realize something fast. The United States is huge, and not just big in a map sense, it's big in the variety sense. Different landscapes, different climates, and different course conditions that all show up over the course of a long race season. Houston is a perfect example. The terrain, the footing, the weather, and the exposure to sun and wind all combined to make this a really distinct Spartan venue. So in this preview, I'm going to use last year's race as a guide to walk through what I think it can tell us about what to expect this coming weekend. The first thing you notice at 7IL Ranch is the ground. This isn't just dirt. A lot of this course is made up of a composition called sandy loam. Some sections are packed down, but a lot of it feels like running on loose sand. Honestly, it's a little bit like running on a beach. That's why so many people come out of this weekend with completely smoked calves. From a running standpoint, it's a weird combination. The ground drains fast, which sounds nice, but it also shifts under your feet. So even though the terrain is mostly flat, your muscle stabilizers are working constantly. Ecologically, though, it's great. Sand lets water move through, and the clay and silt underneath hold the nutrients. That's a big reason why agriculture has done so well historically in this part of Texas. The history out here is worth a quick stop, too, because it adds a little bit more texture to the place. After Texas gained independence from Mexico in 1836, after the Battle of San Jacinto, settlers pushed west out of Houston looking for land. One of the big waves of settlers in central Texas were German immigrants arriving in the 1830s and 1840s. They brought farming and ranching techniques that helped turn towns like Cat Springs into agricultural hubs, and you can still feel that influence. For this race, I stay in Brenham, and the German culture there, the footprint, is still visible in the architecture, farming traditions, and a lot of the local businesses. Logistics for this weekend are pretty simple. Most people fly into George Bush International Airport in Houston, then drive about an hour to an hour and a half west of Cat Spring. Like I said, I stay in Brenham. It's about 25 minutes from the venue, and it's got several hotels, plus plenty of food options. One thing I always recommend on race weekends is stopping by a grocery store. In Texas, HEB is the big Texas grocery chain, and honestly one of the easiest ways to set yourself up for the weekend. They have great prepared food, good options for electrolytes, snacks, and the usual race fuel. Parking at the venue last year was easy. Cars were in a big open lot right by registration, which made walking from the car to registration painless and easy. Terrain-wise, the course is pretty consistent. It's mostly flat ranch land with sandy ground and wide open views. There aren't a lot of hills, but don't let that fool you. The sand and heat can make the course feel way tougher than you expect. Last year, Saturday temperatures were the high 70s, with real humidity and very little shade. When the sun's out, dehydration becomes a big deal fast, mostly because there's just no trees in this area. The surfaces stay similar mile after mile, sandy ground, some sections through brush, and a few creek crossings. If you normally race mountain courses, you might feel great early on, but the sand is sneaky. It just steadily drains your legs. Last year on Sunday, it was basically completely different weather. Temperatures dropped into the high 40s with wind and cloud cover, and the Super and Sprint felt like two completely different races than the Beast. That's Texas weather. It can swing fast, but be ready for heat and cooler temperatures at the same time. Obstacle placement last year felt pretty balanced across the course, especially the Beast. With that said, Spartan's been trying to spread obstacles more on beast courses, but it honestly hasn't been that noticeable so far this year. So that still is going to mean longer running stretches between clustered obstacles. One thing to watch for, especially in the competitive division, is sandbags. They had different sandbags last year, the traditional black ones and those new greener ones. The problems with the green ones is if you grab the wrong bag, male or female, and they're not that clearly marked, it could create a problem if you're running in the age group. So be careful. Grab the right bag. The Beast course also has two long barbed wire crawls. One that went uphill in full sun that just felt brutal last year. And the final obstacle last year is the same this year, inverted wall, which is somewhat unique. When you get over the wall, you can't see the festival until you get over and look down. And when you hit that top edge and look down, it feels like a finish line reveal of sorts. Overall, Houston is a great weekend. The terrain is different from a lot of other venues. The ranch views are wide open, and the weather can add a whole level of challenge. Flat terrain plus sandy soil plus Texas heat can make this race harder than it looks on paper. So dehydration and fueling matter here. I'd bring extra electrolytes, extra water, and a little bit more food than you think you need. I'll be heading back there this weekend and to see how this course compares to last year. After the race, I'll publish the full race review on the site as part of the Shank Gym Expedition Archive. So good luck to everybody racing Houston this weekend, and I'll see you out on the course.